Brian, thank you, and good afternoon. Allow me to echo what Brian said. Thank you for your presence and for your willingness to help us get the word out on something that's very, very important to all of us. You all know, I think, of the importance of transparency, especially involving issues of sexual abuse within the church. And so today, I'd like to address that question of transparency specifically within the Archdiocese of Louisville. Many of you know, or some of you may know, that in 2003, so now 16 years ago, there was a major lawsuit and settlement, and that involved the bringing into public the tragic history that has been for decades part of the life of the church within the Archdiocese. The last several months, especially since this past summer, especially in the wake of accusations involving Archbishop McCarrick and the Pennsylvania grand jury report, has brought to light many additional questions. People saying, well, what about transparency within the Archdiocese of Louisville? And specifically, have let us know that there's somewhat of a new audience, that not everybody was around or paying attention in 2003. So many questions that may have been answered at that time are now being answered again, and I think appropriately so. Let me tell you a little bit about what Brian alluded to. As you might imagine, in looking at the whole question of healing, I've sought many consultative groups to help me understand what is the best way to move forward in healing. Our Sexual Abuse Review Board, and John, thank you for your presence here today, recommended a very specific action. What they recommended was this, that we have a deliberative process of review by engaging an independent investigator who could examine, first of all, the files of any situations involving sexual abuse, could study the actions that have been taken in the past, and also would be able to review both our policies and our protocols that deal with practices or issues of safe environment, as well as issues of dealing with an incident should something arise in the future. So we have moved ahead of that. We moved ahead with it, I should say. The hope was that we would generate a report, and this would include a list of credibly accused priests that would result from a fresh and independent eye. We're very pleased that the investigator, Mr. Mark Miller, is here with us today, and actually he is presenting his report to the Sexual Abuse Review Board today, and it's being made public at the very same time. A few weeks ago, he spoke to our review board, and I was present at that time to hear his conversation of the progress he was making. It's been about 3 months that he's been involved in this process. He assured me that his work has been, first of all, unfettered, that he's had complete independence in looking and asking whatever questions and directing his attention to wherever his investigation would take him. Before he gives his report, however, there's two very important things that I do want to mention. The first is what our primary purpose is. Our primary purpose today is healing. It's healing of people who are victims, survivors, many of whom I've spoken directly to, and who have told me that having a report and a list of credibly accused priests will provide validation for something that has been part of their life, often for many decades. And secondly, there is the thought that it will inspire others who have not come forward to come forward now for the healing that they truly deserve. Now, I need to be able to tell you that, and pleased publicly to say this, if anyone does have a question of abuse that has happened in the past or at any time, the first thing they should do is contact public authority. Call the police and do not delay in that. And secondly, I'd like to invite them also to make contact with our Victim Assistance Coordinator, Martine Siegel, is in the back of the room. And thank you, Martine, not only for being here, but for the pastoral care and professional care that you've exerted with really a caring heart in dealing with so many victim survivors. So that's the first thing. It's meant to be healing. Second, and really very importantly, this is not a conclusion. This is a beginning. It's the beginning of a process of transparency. I know Brian Reynolds has said to me over and over again, we do not know what we do not know. So that there may well be information that will come forward, and if it does, we're prepared to receive it and to address it in a transparent way. I do expect that the list that will be on our website may get revised over the coming weeks or months. Finally, before I finish my initial presentation today, I do want to say a word directly to victims of sexual abuse, both within our church and beyond. You know, I've been told that the statistics are that 1 out of 4 women and 1 out of 6 men, before they reach the age of 18, will have experienced sexual abuse. It may be in a church or a school, it may be in their families, it may be in some other organization, but the fact of the matter is that if this is true, and I have no reason to think it isn't, there's a lot of hurt and a lot of pain that is present within our society. And I have to say very, very carefully that the conversations I have had with actually survivors of abuse over the last number of months, those conversations have convinced me that this approach is the right thing to do. I do need to say how deeply sorry I am for any time that the church, either by denial, by apathy, or by placing blame elsewhere, has added to your pain if you have experienced sexual abuse. I do want to say that we want to be in solidarity with each of you and to ask you to come forward, first of all, to address issues with the proper public authorities, and then to allow us in some way to assist you. We're never going to be healthy as a church unless we honestly confront the issues that we're dealing with today. So I do want to thank each and every one of you for your attention and for getting out the word of what this report that will be presented to our review board and to me today will bring us. Thanks so very much.